mean, that is something that Armenians did. You went into debt. You got the money somehow, you sent it over, and you then repaid the debt, and it was something that all Armenians would know about and be familiar with the situation, but Sedrak didn't send this money. So you would expect resentment in these letters if there was any resentment, any references to Sedrak, but in fact the 3 or 4 references to Sedrak are either neutral or actually sympathetic. There's a moment when Gorky's career is going rather better than usual, and he says, my dream is to have enough money to buy a farm somewhere so that father will be all right and we can all be reunited. Sedrak was quite a simple, straightforward man. He wasn't a dislikable man, and his dream was always to have a farm and take care of Bessie the cow and make hay, and his grandchildren used to jump on the hay, and that irritated him a lot because he said then Bessie the cow would not eat the hay if it had been trampled by his grandchildren. So he wasn't a dislikable man, but there was this potential tension between. So it's interesting to see that when Gorky mentions his father, there is no trace of the animosity that other parts of the family say. Anyway, where was I? I think constantly, if only they take them, then we can all be okay. Father, Akabi, Satanik, you and me. And then I have a painting in an exhibition at the Whitney Museum, which is going to buy paintings of 20,000's worth. That means, I think, that there's a purchasing budget of $20,000. On my work, I put a price that was not too high. If only they would buy it. I could come to you for Christmas and help father a lot. My sweetheart, I miss you all very much. I always think of you, my dear Vartush. Your letter of the other day was so sad that for a week I didn't know what to do. On Monday, that is tomorrow, 2 or 3 students are coming to study, and if they give me money, I'll send Akabi $15 for father's journey. Right at this minute, I gave a bitter sigh. Ah. By the way, with the reference to this Tama surely means Tama.
That's what it is. That's the legend. The legend is all about that.
One wonders what the lady did to the gentleman in those circumstances. My cat is sitting on the table and gets in the way. He jumped onto the first sheet of this letter and messed up the letters, but he's lovely, just like Carla. He follows me around all day and watches me for hours as I paint. My dear ones, I'm sorry I don't have news of Ardor, but I don't think anything has happened. This is a reference to Ardor's arrest. This is one of the first references, so he's not quite sure what has happened. Dear Murad, how is everything? Right. Wow, you have a new dog. In the photos you sent me last time, there's a beautiful dog. Dear Vartush, recently, I don't know if you remember, when you were here, I made a large pencil drawing of you. From that drawing, I've made 4 very magnificent oil paintings. If it turns out that I come there for Christmas, I'll bring them with me for you to have. I miss Carlin a lot. Dear girl, kiss him on the eyes from me. I am making a collection of drawings for him, and I'll send them to him very soon. Don't worry about me, dear girl. I am well. How is Gurkanand? How is his work? I haven't seen Davis yet, but soon, that is next week, I'll see him. Let this much be sufficient. I'll write again soon, this Wednesday or next, with many nostalgic kisses. Missing you, cancelled. Always you, Gorky. The cat greets Carlin. Dear girl, look, he's just like a tiger. He stands up on his hind feet and fights. He moved the tray and walked away, so I could not finish the drawing. Okay. So they're very simple, these letters, very touching in their simplicity. Now, the book which I wanted to bring so much to show to you, this book on which I rely hugely on Father Krikor, and it's really, he's done more work than I have on this book, is a collection of documents in which, well, when I wrote my biography, here it is, wonderful book. Naturally, I collected photocopies of all the available documents from archives, and it turned out to be an immense wodge of material. And in preparation for this exhibition at the Philadelphia Museum, which I hope you will all go and see, I went through them, and it seemed to me that a lot of them told a great deal about Gorky. It didn't need much explanation. So I made a sort of rough collection over a period of 3 days. It was very easy. And I sent it along to my mother-in-law, Magouche, who is Gorky's widow. Said, what do you think? Is there enough here? She was very enthusiastic. She said, the wonderful thing about this is you don't have any of those explanations that historians go in for. Well, that wasn't very complimentary for the 8 years that I spent writing that. But anyway, I persisted, and then I went through the translations of Gorky's letters, which I'd done for this book, with a dentist and a concert pianist living in Milan, and they helped me to translate these letters into very rough and ready Italian, and then I did an even more rough and ready English version from their Italian. And the doctor, the dentist, said, I think I'm going to invent a new disease called Gorkitis, which means puzzling for several hours over a word which turns out to be absolutely trivial when you translate it. They were very helpful and absolutely sweet and angelic people. One is called Piero Kuchukian, and he's a significant figure in the Armenian community in Italy, so maybe one or two of you might have heard of him. Anyway, so I thought that these had to be revised, and through the diocese I was told that the best person for the job was Father Maksoudian, so I corresponded with him, and we thrashed over this business of the translations. Well, he did the work, and then I in 99% of the cases I accepted his corrections of my translation of the Italian from the Armenian original. It seemed to me that it was clear that he knew more about the subject than I did, so I was very deferential to everything that he said. Obviously, from the imaginary 1.5 pages of gloss that you can give to the one word ak, the time must come that he will take this first version of the edition of Gorky's writings and annotate them as they deserve, because almost on every page there is something that you as Armenians would understand much quicker than anybody else. But anyway, for this first draft there are all the writings that Gorky ever made, including some letters that he wrote to his family in 1947. In fact, this is the only other group of letters of any consistency. It's obvious that he didn't write with any care. They're very straightforward things, and one of the points that Father Maksoudian makes in his introduction to the translation, to the transcriptions, is it's obvious that Gorky didn't reread his letters, because you get a word spelled one way on page 2 and another way on page 3, and anybody rereading a letter would spot this and correct either one or the other, make up your mind whether it's spelled one. And that, in its simplicity, this is a very important point to make, that his energy went into his work. He did not use letter writing in any way to convey sophisticated ideas. These are letters of moral support for a sister who was basically traumatized by the Armenian genocide and couldn't really stand on her own 2 feet.